Are you little sh... Ooh. Child's Play 3. Look who's stalking.
Don't fuck with the Chuck!
What's up, and thank you for tuning in. Today we are back at it with another deep dive into some more 1-to-1 scale Chucky stuff. And so today is the full review for the latest from Trick or Treat Studios. This is their pizza face head for their ultimate Chucky. And so this is part 1 of 2. So the other release that came out with this, the only 2 alternate heads that Trick or Treat Studios Ultimate Chuck will be getting are this and the Tommy head. So today we're focusing on Pizza Face. Tommy we'll have in the next video. And so that's a good place to start, actually, is the head and hand set portion of these. So, you know, like all things that seems to come with these Chucky dolls, what's advertised comes out a bit different than what we actually get. So when the pre-orders went up, everyone saw that the middle finger hand attachment that was supposed to come with this was actually not seen anywhere in the solicitation. And when you looked at the full description of the items, especially compared this to the Tommy head, it became really obvious that this was only going to be the head release, while the Tommy head set was still going to be coming with the plain good guy doll hands. And so it's a huge bummer for a lot of people when the very characteristic middle finger hand and a grabby hand, which I don't know what they were supposed to do with that hand. The pictures of the original solicitations or the original catalog images of the head and hands are on the screen right now. I don't know if that open hand was meant to be sculpted to hold a gun or really what it was for, but even still the options would have been nice. It would have been awesome for this to have still been a full head and hand set package. And so what I was thinking maybe happened was maybe with all the extra detail and, you know, everything to where the seed of Chucky doll, you know, cost more than the good guy and everything. It took more details and everything. I thought maybe the detailed look of this took up a lot of the budget. But I ended up hearing through the grapevine that that apparently probably wasn't the case. It had to do with the contract termination with Universal for Trick or Treat Studios losing the Universal Films licensing. That for whatever reason it just wasn't far enough along into production, I guess. So it's currently not made. But I am hearing that there is an intent to somehow, hopefully someday, get that hand, that middle finger hand specifically, to the market. So it is still a really huge bummer, the fact that this head was still the full price of $200, at the same price as the Tommy, and you're technically getting less. Ultimately, I really wasn't all that surprised. But even still, you know, this thing does have some great detail. I don't really feel cheated or anything, my, you know, bang for the buck. Because again, when I ordered this, I knew that I wasn't going to get that alternate hand with it, but, you know, maybe there could have been some more transparency about it, but, you know, hopefully they do end up making it someday. But enough about what we didn't get. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we did get. And so here's a closer look. And speaking of what we did get was a lot of hair. But again, that is honestly welcome. It's really cool to see these guys come with a, you know, good bit of a head of hair. It's always easier to take hair off than it is to add hair. So I'm totally fine with these guys having a little bit of mullets in the back. And when you pick up the head, you can see the actually, you know, a bit of the length, and also compare it with the original shot on the back of the box. And I don't even have to superimpose the solicitation image into the video. You can see it right there. This is what was advertised, and here is what we got. Now, I think there's been some great differences in some products that we've gotten, but I think this right here looks fine. I think ultimately the main thing you're going to notice right off the bat is the hair. The solicitation image it just looks so cool. It looks so good. The shape of it in silhouette is really nice for Child's Play 3. Has the bangs kind of cut a little bit. It looks really, really nice. This here does not look bad. Again, I think I said it in my unboxing video, but like if somebody came up to me and put a gun to my head and said, you are never allowed to style that hair, then like that, you know, whatever. Like there's worse things in the world for sure. But I am excited to get the review of it done, because once I get the review of the stock version out, then I can start playing with mine and kind of modifying a little bit. I like to show them, you know, pretty much exactly what you're going to get out of the box. So now I can kind of trim up the hair, because yeah, he's got some pretty good red locks back there. And turning him around to the front. So again, like just a little bit of styling, mostly because like these bangs here are prone to falling in the face. So he has this like emo, you know, Spider-Man 3 Peter Parker going on like, you know, the coolest part of the face. This is obviously what you want to see. So to see it get covered a lot, but it is still a really nice Chucky wig at the end of the day. So again, I'm not really complaining. While we have him up here, you can see some great painted details. You can see the eyebrows both added on the side of the head. You can see some blush as well as his freckles added throughout, and he has a really, really good skin tone. I'm going to compare him with the Ultimate Chucky in a little bit, at least the stock Ultimate Chucky head, and, you know, this guy's skin tone is a lot more consistent, and I guess I feel more accurate, more natural, as compared to the pink of the stock Ultimate Chucky. And so let's take a look at the main reason why folks are going to buy this, and that is this gore detailed look here on the side of his face. So obviously this is meant to emulate the climax from Child's Play 3, where Chuck gets half of his face sliced off from a carnival ride, like a Grim Reaper with like some horrible like metal scythe. This dude would probably get a tetanus shot after this. But it's a fairly quick moment at the end of the film, and even still, it just looks so cool. It stuck with people. The NECA Ultimate figure did get like a version of that. There is a Mezco version, like a miniature doll version of this, and now there's this. So, you know, even though it was only in the movie for frankly a few minutes, it's, you know, become fairly iconic look for Chucky. And now you can have it represented in 1:1 scale doll form, which I just really love, again, at the 1:1 scale replica market. So you'll see here there is kind of just, I don't want to say some standard paint, but it's painted kind of gory. There's nothing in there that is completely insane. There's a couple of details that, you know, aren't on this that were kind of in the film that I would have liked, and I don't know how exactly they would have translated, but just a couple of things that would have been kind of nice. The main things that I can think of is in the film there looks to be like kind of a piece of flesh hanging out around here, this part of the under part of the mouth, that is not, you know, present here at all. But again, like, really, what are you gonna do? Probably kind of hard to see. There's some more colors that folks could add in there, and then there's also, you know, it's kind of added a bit, but I like how it kind of looks in the film where, you know, you can really see the muscles on the inside of the jaw. I think if those were accentuated a little bit, like when he's screaming at the end of the film flying towards the fan. But again, very kind of nitpicky. I think altogether, though, the gore does look pretty decent comparatively to, you know, what we got in the film. And again, these things are mass produced, so that is one thing that I can kind of see right here. This looks a little, I don't know the word for it, but I guess a little plain with the way the, you know, blood is kind of just, you know, very perfect right there. But again, these are mass-produced dolls. So I think when accounting for that, that's really going to kind of play into it. And again, mass-produced, this gore detailing is fantastic. Like, there's nothing unpainted in here. There's nothing that, like, is a completely pale spot. Like, it is completely submerged, painted, and detailed and sculpted. So this sculpt here is fantastic. And this sculpt was done for Trick or Treat Studios by Russ Lukich, or Lukich, I'm so sorry, I don't know exactly how that's pronounced, but it was done by Russ, and it is a fantastic sculpt. So again, I don't want, like, my couple of things to come off as qualms. It's just, you know, when you do a review, people want to hear the positive and the, you know, I guess, like, constructive criticism. I don't want it to come off as, you know, poor or anything. This looks nice, especially for the price. Now, one last thing about the gore, and it's not too much about the gore face itself. It's something I noticed, and I'll try and take a good photo of it and maybe share it. It's very interesting. It's like it sat in a factory because there is a lot of dust settled in there. But this thing is actually like dust covered on the inside, so I don't know if these were made and then they sat in a factory for a bit or anything, but you know, obviously this detail here, if you do keep these displayed outside of detolfs or even within detolfs, you know, these grooves will be prone to collecting dust. But yeah, it really seemed like they did even before they got packed up and shipped. So just a heads up, if anybody is painting these or going to do a rehaul, make sure you kind of get in there and clean it up to make sure you're not painting over dust that might be in those grooves. But you know, just an interesting heads up. And so more detailing here is the mouth. So I think the mouth is nice. I think the mouth is sculpted very well. It's a bit more gummy than I would have liked because, you know, again, when he's screaming in the movie, that's kind of the look I want to emulate at the end when he's like heading towards the fan and he's screaming. It's kind of hard to get that look out of this for multiple reasons. One is the shape of the mouth. Two is the eye posability, which I'll get to. And three being the fact that the Ultimate Chucky does not have any type of neck joint where he can look up. So trying to get either the one of him going towards the fan with the eyes and getting the one of him looking up the moment the face got sliced off is kind of hard to do when the head's actually on the body. But I do think it's a nicely sculpted mouth, and I do think it's a better mouth than the one that's on the stock Ultimate Chucky. I think the one that comes on the stock Ultimate Chucky is nice, but the teeth are like very dingy, very, you know, they look like baby teeth, and these ones right here are a bit more consistent, and yeah, I just think this one is an improvement over the stock head's teeth. But one thing with the teeth on mine, which I'm actually kind of bummed about, because I do think it's distracting. Usually these things don't distract me. This does. So when looking at it like this, you really can't tell. It looks fine. But when you look up at them like this, there is a really great gap in between the, like, you know, gums of the teeth and the lip, and that's just because that's where it was installed. On mine here, the mouth was installed just a little bit lower, than it should have. If this was, you know, uninstalled and installed higher, then that would probably fill that gap there, but it's pretty noticeable, and it really makes it look like just a separate piece, like something that was put together. So I haven't seen a lot of folks that has this really noticeable gap, and this is something I am going to fix on mine, but again, had to keep it because I wanted to show you guys that technically that is a possibility to look out for that. And what I've done while kind of messing with it, I'll kind of make it worse so you can really see it, but like right up in there where the gore starts, like that's in my opinion a gigantic gap that I'd like to kind of fix up. So hopefully gonna get some at least ideas on, like, you know, replacement mounts, but ultimately I'll probably end up taking this one out and reinstalling it because I like to keep these mostly stock. I might get one to customize at one point, or at least like the stock Ultimate Chucky, and maybe I'll do it with that. And so one more thing I want to get into here while I have the head just like this before we get into actually looking at it on the doll and all that fun stuff is the eye. So again, we are going to get a comparison with the Ultimate Chucky here in a little bit, but I do want to go ahead and state I like these eyes a bit more than the ones that are on the Ultimate stock Chucky. I like those eyes a lot. They have that deepness to them, that kind of haze to them that he does in some of the shots of Child's Play 2. And even though I like those, there's still something that looks a little off about the Ultimate stock one. I think these eyes are very lively. I think they're able to pull that off very well, you know, being alive and still being doll eyes. I think they are very, very nice. But one thing you might notice while looking at him is his eyes are not completely aligned. And one of the first things I noticed looking at him in the box, and even right here, like with these shadows, how this shadow kind of comes down the brow and covers that pupil, you can really kind of tell. Now, obviously there's going to be some sculpting and size differences where this is kind of an exposed socket and this is a regular eye, but it really has nothing to do with that. If you look, their pupils are not pointing in the exact same direction. Like at all. And so with these eye systems, which we will get to, this guy does have, which is the same thing the stock Ultimate Chucky has, which is the removable back of the cranium. So there is like a tab underneath here. You can grab it's a little black piece of fabric, but it's always really hard to find. So I tend to just come up here and kind of separate it at the hairline. Now again, it does a great job of concealing that right there. You can see it because I just separated it. But again, when you have the wig on and you're just looking at it, you really could not tell. I almost dropped it. You really cannot tell that that's a two-piece wig. So again, I still think they did a great job on that front. Separate it right here just like that. Again, it's got this little tab, but in the hair it's always really hard to find. And we'll set his scalp off to the side. And so again, here is the half head that you use. Has the magnet on the inside there, that little white disc at the bottom. And take a look at the inside. So I love this. You can see the inside of the sculpt here. Again, all the detailing that Russ was able to hit that with. You can really kind of see it exposed on the backside and how much work went into each individual piece of gore detail. So I love that. I love how you can see that on the inside. And you can also see, if I can angle this better, you can see where these sockets are different. So this eye over here, which is the normal eye, has a white socket installed where it sits in. This eye, which they really didn't have the space or availability, you can see really just sits in the base of that plastic there. So again, they had to do these sockets a little bit differently. I think that's very interesting looking at it from the inside out. And also you can see this little plastic piece in here. That is obviously the mouth that's been installed in here. So again, that's what I was talking about, where you can take this. Again, this is me just kind of pushing on it from the factory glue. If yours comes misaligned like mine, you can push on it and more than likely pop it out. Again, I haven't done the full thing yet because I didn't want to fix it before the review, but just a heads up, you should be able to pop that out there. And also we do have this version of the eye moving mechanism. So Trick or Treat Studios version of the eye moving mechanism is, as we've covered before, come in here and you grab this little end of the bar and you kind of move them around. So that's exactly how you can do it. Let's take a look at it from the front. You go from straight on to left to right, and they look really good when they're looking like that. Now again, right there, that really highlights how kind of cockeyed they are. Now again, how would you fix something like this? How would I fix something like this? I can show you. Because that's really the daunting thing about the Trick or Treat Studios movable eyes. I do like the system a lot. I think the fact that you have this in here, it's really nice. But the fact it can break, the fact that you can move these around and they can snap the posts and all that, that's really not fun. But you don't have to live like that. And that's because if we go on the inside here, we're going to take these bars and we're going to kind of push them down as much as possible to expose these screws here. Looking on the inside, you can see that these are screwed here just with literally screws. There's two white plastic discs, one on the bottom, one on the top that holds this screw, and they hold this bar in there, and that's it. You can unscrew this if your eye mechanism is too stiff or you feel like you're going to break it. You can unscrew this and take off this connecting bar, and you can move the eyes independently. You can do that on the stock Chucky, you can do it on this, you can do it on the Tommy, so you do not have to have this moving eye system. You can make them independent. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't do anything about the range, so where this one is kind of the normal eye socket, you're going to get some fairly decent range like you could with the Ultimate. This one is more restricted because it has more plastic around it because it has to hold that eye. So that's really just some differences you're going to get with that. So I don't know if that's playing with the alignment of the eyes or if something else is going on, but either way, we're going to fix it. So come in here, you're going to get a tiny screwdriver. You get a screwdriver with a little bit. You're going to come in here, and I'm going to suggest it's going to look weird. And so it's a little awkward, so I'm going to try and hold it like this and demonstrate. So I have the screwdriver working right there. I'm bracing the bottom white disc with my middle finger there. Again, now we get a middle finger. And you need to brace that because that bottom white disc is the thing that this actually screws into. And just unscrew that there. All right. You can kind of let it drop, and there it is. So it is completely disconnected now. And so you have this piece. You're going to want to, you know, still, I dropped it. You're still going to want to keep these because, again, I like to keep all the stock stuff, but you have this screw and disc piece. And then if we come in here and disconnect it, you'll have another little white disc piece, which is right here. So this plugs in the bottom, and then that top screw attaches to that. All right, and so I've just unscrewed the second one off camera, and when you do that, remove those, just like that. You can take that adjustable bar out, and that means that both of those are working on individual posts, which means, yes, absolutely, you can come up here and grab both of those little stems, and you can move both of those eyes independently. So everybody who wanted Trick or Treat Studios dolls to have the independent eyes, now they can. Now you might be wondering what that plastic piece was inside of the head, so let me show you that. Actually, let me adjust these a little bit. And that's back here. So again, both of these eyes have these posts sticking out of the back of them. Now, when I was trying to align these, like pretty much trying to force it a little bit, I thought I broke it, and I didn't break it. I got lucky. So this one in here connects directly to the stem, and this one, what I broke was not that. What I broke was the glue. It just had a really, like, the ittiest bittiest little bit of glue on this post, and so that eye just doesn't even have, like, it doesn't hold in there. I can just pop it completely out and use it like a key. So I might thicken that up and might just put another drop of super glue on that to hold that in there. But yeah, so that is completely an option. If yours comes like mine, all that aside, if yours comes like mine and the eyes are a bit wonky, you can move them independently. All you got to do is go in there with a little itty bitty screwdriver and take apart that bar. So that's the movable eyes and how to fix them if they're all cockeyed. And so now we're going to take Pizza Face and compare him to his brother, the stock Ultimate Chucky. So this right here off the bat, you can see what I was talking about earlier. The skin tones are insanely different. The first Ultimate Chuck here, he's very pale. He's almost like, his complexion's almost blown out in the camera, and he's got like this really pink complexion, and again, he doesn't look bad, but again, this one here just has a much more like natural doll-ish looking tone, and I see what they were going for, but I do wish this one had more of a, I guess, subdued, naturalistic skin tone like this one here, because the pink in this really just kind of throws me off. Because I know that Chucky sometimes kind of has that rosy complexion, but this just kind of looks like a Rugrats character sometimes, whereas this kind of looks like an angry killer doll. So, you know, that's these two compared. And to compare the eyes, so again, you can see on the Ultimate Chucky, he's got these really deep, hazy, tiny pupilled blue eyes, where these ones are a bit more, I think, Chucky-esque is a good way to put it. These ones are a bit more kind of like, if you think of Chucky's eyes, you're going to kind of think of those, where these ones are intentionally more stylized. Really hard to get a good frame here where they're both kind of looking, but yeah, exactly that there. You can kind of see their eyes comparatively. This one has some piercing, really spooky eyes, where these ones kind of have just some natural Chucky eyes. So I can see these ones working, but again, I think it's how it kind of mixes with the complexion and everything else that kind of just throws it off. And while today is all about Pizza Face here, I do want to go ahead and give you a bit of a teaser with the Tommy head. So again, bit of a teaser, bit of a spoiler with what might be one of, if not my favorite Trick or Treat Studios dolls. This Tommy head is something else, but absolutely love it. You can see, again, both new releases right here out of the box, stacked up next to each other, nice little comparison. And so I'm not really going to go out of my way to like compare both of these guys, mostly because they're both doing something that's drastically different than the other. Now obviously Pizza Face is doing something different than the Ultimate, but they're both going for like live Chuckies, whereas this one is a live Gore face Chucky, and this one is, you know, a standard good guy doll. So they are very starkly different. But even still, I wanted to show off both of these guys together because just look at them. And so towards the end here, I obviously wanted to show it off with the actual ultimate body. So that's obviously what we're going to do here. You go ahead and take the head here, just like every other release with the ultimate heads. They have the magnet on the bottom here, this little circular thing, and this post goes right on in. What I like to do is undo, there's a little button clasp on the sweater back here. I like to undo that, and I like to take the collar and kind of fold it out as if to be rolled back up over the neck. Because the sweater's very prone to kind of just getting stuck in there, so I just like to get it out of the way if I can. So you just align it. It's a great fit. You don't got to do much. It slides right on there. Make sure that collar's popped up around. Come around back. Re-clasp it if you undid it like I did. And here is Pizza Face Chucky full-bodied as actual Pizza Face Chucky, not just some talking head. And I just absolutely love how he looks completed. So that's one thing I really noticed with both the Pizza Face and the Tommy head. Seeing them in their boxes, seeing them out of their boxes is great, but it's really not until that obviously you get them on the body that it really comes to life. It's very cathartic in a way. It's also nice because you're like completing a set. You know, you're getting like an upgrade kit for this here Chucky, so it's just a really nice feeling. And so obviously this is the ultimate Chucky body. I'm not going to go too much into detail about the body and the articulation and all that. I covered it in the Ultimate Chucky review, so if you want to get more of that, feel free to check out that video. The long and short of it is it's a foam body with a metal armature on the inside that allows you to move it, so that's pretty much the same thing. Nothing is really changing about that with the head. So obviously all articulation is exactly the same, but he can obviously move his head left and right because, you know, seeing dolls like the NECA dolls that have the ball joints in the head that you can look up and down, it adds such an array of emotion and posability that to have a doll like this where really all you can do is this, you can't get any up or down at all. That's nothing that could have been changed, you know, with just the head here. It would have been a lot for them to try and build a joint into this neck. I'm really glad they just didn't worry about it. But just a heads up because that is something you're going to have to be okay with if you want to sport this. And he just looks absolutely brilliant, again, fully assembled on the actual body. Ultimately, it does suck that he doesn't have hands that, you know, that could have been in a complete ensemble, but even still like this, he still looks very good all said and done. And this dude really is rocking a mullet, but again, after the original Good Guy doll, I'd rather them have more hair than not enough. The more you turn around. Again, this doll stand here is the Kaiser doll stand. Chubby waisted dolls, I'm going to have the link for it in the description. They come in and out of stock on Amazon, so they may or may not be there while you're watching this, whenever you're watching it, but I'll have the information for him down there. And so this is Pizza Face with the full ultimate ensemble, but there's still a little bit more to him. He can still have, you know, a couple of toys. And so that's exactly what we've got here. We just have a plastic Halloween bandolier, just some plastic bullets. All you've got to do is buy it, and you should be able to take these bullets out individually and just end up shortening them, get it to the ring that you want, and just take whatever bullet that you pulled out and put it right back in. And you're done. Now you have a little Chucky baby-sized bandolier from Child's Play 3. And so I've had this on my Ultimate Chucky for a minute. I found it in my Halloween costume stuff, and I just think it looks really good. It looks really goofy, just really nice. Again, you can really sell some Child's Play 3 out of this. And to kind of put the cherry on it, we are going to go ahead and borrow from Tiffany. We're going to borrow her little Beretta. I know it's not the same gun he used in the movie, but it does fit in his hand. You can have Chucky just completely Child's Play 3'd out. Now, I did have a little grenade I thought about giving him, but it weighed him down, so I just got rid of the grenade. But really, just look at that. Like, I just absolutely love this. Again, for a mass market 1-to-1 scale replica of Chucky as seen in Child's Play 3, this is going to do it. And it really is nice because Child's Play 3 does not get a whole lot of love. Now, you know, it's not my favorite, and that's fine, but I still love it. I still think it's a great movie. I love the military academy aesthetic. I think it has some great kills. I think Chucky looks awesome. And it's just really nice because, you know, every single Chucky movie is somebody's favorite. Yes, even Seed. And so for all of the Child's Play 3 fans, especially Chucky Fan 101, this one should really scratch that itch. There's always room to be picky, and there's always room to say, I wish they would have done this, and I think ultimately, again, the thing that they should have done for this was the middle finger hand. But at the end of the day, this just, it looks really nice still. And the fact that my copy here does have that gap in the face, I am going to have to kind of get in there and fix that a little bit because there's just a little bit more oomph I want him to have. I don't like that gap in the mouth. But I'm still incredibly satisfied with it. Again, the fact that we actually have a 1-to-1 scale replica of the pizza face of Chucky from Child's Play 3, it's just a headset that I think was an obvious grab for them to do, but I can't believe they actually did it because that's so much detail to try and get on a mass market item. Both of the headsets were delayed. They were supposed to come out in September last year of 2023, but they just came out this month in January of 2024. That's not the longest wait I've had for a Chucky item or the longest delay that I've had, so I'm really not worried about it. Mostly just curious how it got covered in dust, and if anybody else's came from the factory completely covered in dust. But I do think it was worth the wait. I do think it was worth the money. I generally don't feel ripped off the fact that he did not come with the middle finger hand. It is something that I have been told, again, should be hitting the market in some way, shape, or form, so whether or not that manifests, we'll see. And if I hear any concrete info about it, I will obviously let you know. I think this is a release that could have gone very cagey. Honestly, it could have gone very bad. I think mine got probably about as dodgy as a Trick or Treat Studios release could have gone, just from the misaligned eyes and the gap in the mouth. But, you know, if that's the issues I'm getting out of the box, then I'll take it. And while you do technically have to buy more items, if you are able to kind of spruce him up a little bit with some Child's Play 3 accessories, he just comes to life with them. And it's all incredibly exciting because I think this guy came out pretty wonderful, all things considered. And he's not even my favorite of the two newest headsets. And so next time we're going to be talking about the Tommy head and hand set. But until then, what do you guys think of Pizza Face Chucky? Are you happy with it? Do you think it could have been done a little bit better? Does the middle finger being unincluded really just ruin the whole thing for you? Whatever your opinion is, and obviously if you have any questions about Pizza Face here, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Hit me up over on Instagram. I like to share a lot of photos of these guys and just generally interact a little bit more over there. That is at DudeSpooter. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe for more Chucky coverage coming at you in the near future. 2024 just started, but something tells me it's still going to be a big year for the little guy. So until that next time, guys, thank you for watching.